Now, have you heard of words like rizz, sigma, and even skibidi toilet? No? Well, you're not alone. They've spread over apps like TikTok and into schoolyards across the country. And some pollies have even blamed the Gen Alpha slang for falling levels of literacy. Joining us now from BTN High is Cale Matthews. So, Cale, for anyone over the age of 16, I guess, what do those words mean?
Yeah, look, I actually go by the skibidi sigma rizz lord now, but thanks for having me on anyway. They mean a lot of different things. It's hard to keep up with a lot of the slang. Skibidi toilet, everyone I spoke to said that was a bit of like, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's just a bit of a filler word. But a lot of these terms are kind of starting where you'd expect, on the internet. They're starting on TikTok, they're starting in Twitch streams, YouTube creators are coming up with these slang terms as part of their streams. So fanum tax, which is kind of stealing some of your friend's food. That was a YouTube creator that came up with that one. And as you might imagine, the internet is a place where a lot of the younger generation hang out, and it's dominated by younger generations. And so all of these words kind of creep into the vocabulary of Generation Alpha and some people who are older as well, and sometimes kind of to the bemusement of older people who don't spend a lot of time in those places on the internet. So I spoke to some people on the street about some of the words and whether they knew what they meant.
Do you know what skibidi toilet means?
I would have no idea.
Little brother teaching you? Nah. I mean, he talks sometimes with his friends and I can't understand when he's on the game.
My mum says pookie now. So
What's pookie mean?
it means like my love.
Yeah.
Like love.
It's confusing sometimes because it keeps changing.
Like, I think if you're using it on a daily basis, I think it would, like, just become a part of your vocabulary.
Like if you're writing an essay at home, you're not saying, oh, he's so sigma.
Language is always going to change with how people change and culture changes, and language goes with it.
I think we impose our values and our view of the world and interpret their behaviour in terms of how we would have acted when we were 20. And the world has moved on. We can't operate in that mindset.
So tell us more about how this all started, Cale.
Yeah, well, it started basically, like I said, on the internet. It proliferates through the net, and that's kind of different to how slang terms arose in the past. You know, slang terms were kind of associated with particular subcultures, way back when. And so now that they're coming up on the internet, they're reaching a broader audience of young people that I think the older generations are missing out on a little bit. And so basically, older generations, when they hear these words, they get a bit, unsure of what they mean and a bit skeptical about what the younger generation are doing with language. But this is, I guess, just how language goes. It evolves, it changes over time. And the linguist that I spoke to as part of this story basically said, language has there's a couple of different things we do with language, and the first is content transfer, and so that's sharing ideas, and that's where formal language comes in. But the other is forming relationships, and slang terms like skibidi and fanum tax are good for forming relationships and kind of providing a few clues about who you are as a person. So if we spent the whole time kind of walking around and speaking in proper English all the time, it'd be somewhat hard to work out who your friends are. Yeah. So if you want to be down with the young people, feel free to chuck in skibidi into your vocabulary.
I will from now on, Cale, but do experts think that we should be worried about the use of these words?
The experts I spoke to said no, essentially. In order to kind of be a functioning member of society and make friends and be involved in your particular groups and your subculture, you need to have an understanding of the slang and the words that are being used so that you can kind of interact and get along with them. And all of these words are kind of how we make friends.